Hello, and welcome to Creative for More, the podcast. As usual, it is absolutely fabulous to have you here with me today and my wonderful guest. I am super excited. I have got the amazing, phenomenal Steve Harris, and he's
Don't forget good looking. Don't forget good looking. There is that.
It's the first time I've ever been interrupted in my intro.
Okay.
I love it. You can already see his personality peeping through. I love it. So he's fondly called Mr. Ruthless Execution. And, he's privileged to be a trusted authority in the field of life and business strategy. He's a highly sought after management consultant, business accelerator, author, and is the chief executive officer of Edge Execution.
There you go. First try.
Yeah. Look, Steve, if I were to read your bio, that's all we would do for the podcast. So how about you just save us? How about you just kind of tell us, who are you? What is the essence of you? Yeah, let us meet you in an unscripted way.
Unscripted rapper, philanthropist, author. I mean, I'm just saying, I like to say I'm a triple threat, but thank you for having me. Steve Harris is good. That's just what it is.
What is the essence of you? If I ask, what is the essence of you?
I don't know. Authenticity, fun, irreverence, I guess. Mischief, drama. I don't know. I guess I really love people. I love what I do. I love helping people. I like to think of myself as a servant here / leader servant. I don't know.
/ leader servant. Is it 7 less times than leader, or leader more times than 7?
I think more times. I'm really actually more of a servant, to be honest. I know my mischief says I'm a leader, but to be honest, I really do think of myself in service to the people that I work with, communities that I serve. I like to think of it as service, to be honest.
I love it. So where I'd like to start here in this conversation, actually, let me dial back. I was saying, before we started recording, well, what the show is about. We get people who we believe are, epitomize what it means to be creative for more. And I see you very much as an embodiment of more, because you've got this larger than life personality. When people come and engage with you straight out the bat, it's like, see me, I am here. You know what I mean? Point in case, like, go onto your Instagram and it's like right there, I am the first coach. I'm the first coach you should have called, and the last coach you ever need. And I'm just like, some people might find you a polarizing character, right?
Yeah.
I would love to just get in your head as to, is that a strategy for you, or is it somehow you just feel you're just misunderstood or something?
I think that's a fantastic question. Well, first off, anyone who thinks I'm polarizing means they care. You know what I mean? It cares. They really care. Which is very important, because I teach different things, and when I'm talking about branding, I say that branding is not your logo. It's not the colors. It's the emotional connection that people have concerning you, and it's either one of 5 things. They're either going to love you, they're going to hate you, they're going to love to hate you, hate to love you, or ignore you. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, most people's brands, personal brands, so to speak, fall in the ignore category. And I think I wouldn't say I was deliberate, but I think it just happened to be that most people tend to either love to hate me or hate to love me. Eventually do love me. So yeah, so I think, to be honest, I think when I started being very intentional about my brand, I realized that I have a very small circle, and I have a great, my friends are great guys, Fela Durotoye, Jimmy Tewe, Bankole Williams, some of these amazing men. and all of them are good guys, great guys. And unfortunately, most of them are either pastors or have been pastors, right? And one day I thought about it. I was like, look, there's too much peace in this circle. One of us has to be the
I
black.
wasn't expecting that.
One of us has to be the black sheep of the family. Somebody's got to do it. Might as well be me. I'll take one for the team. So I started noticing very early that I wasn't afraid to zig when others were zagging. I noticed that I was very seemingly not very good with authority, as the case may be. I didn't agree with a lot of things. So usually in my circle, most of them just either believe that I'm the devil's advocate or something or the other, which is fine. It works with me because I feel like, you can have 10 good children, but you'll always talk about the one bad child. Somebody's got to be that kid. Might as well be me. So when people think I'm polarizing, for me, I say to this, they care. They feel something, but I do think I am largely misunderstood. Most people think I'm just arrogant, but I'm like, yeah, that's not vanity if it's true, right? I mean, you look as good as me.
You've got it.
So,
Of course. It's just natural. I love it. And also, beyond just yourself as a personal brand. I like the fact that you've spoken about your friends, mates, and all of them. Some of them being pastors and stuff like that. I find your posts, particularly you do a lot of posts about Jesus Christ, about him being salesman and all of that. I mean, how did you start to interpret things like that? I think I find it very intriguing that you are not afraid, and you've said it already, when people are zigging, you're not afraid to go the other way.
Yeah.
In a community, when I say community, I use that term really, really loosely because the whole world is a global village now, where a lot of us from where we're really, really largely spiritual, and everybody is
right.
like, they have a certain perspective or a certain paradigm when it comes to interpretation of the Bible, of spirituality, and all of that. How have you still managed to be so uncompromising with your views? And the reason I'm asking is because I find it, for me, when you are created for more, right? When you know that there is more in you, so you do it even if that more is contentious, even if that more
right.
might be misinterpreted. So I'm trying to get into the heart of it, and I'm hoping that people who listen to your response will understand the importance of just standing up and saying what
right.
is actually on your heart. Sorry, that was like a really long-winded question.
It was perfect. I hope you got it. It was perfect. Well, I don't know. I think for me, my relationship with God is perhaps the relationship every father has with his kids. And a father can have 10 kids, but he's going to relate to them differently. Now, for me, I don't know. I tend to keep it real with God. You know what I mean? I keep it really real with him. I'm not when I'm praying, I'm not like, Father Almighty. I don't talk about God's chieftaincy titles. You know what I mean? I don't hail him. I just go straight to like, look, God, Father, this is it. This is not working. I'm tired. I just level with him.
Sorry, did you just say God's chieftaincy titles?
Well, it's true because we do that. Like we hail him first.
The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and Omega, this begin at the end.
Yes. Like we're trying to shake him down. Like, let me just hail you first. Correct God. That's how you know God. You know what I mean? So I think we do a lot of those things. But I think for me the most important title is Father. And sometimes, it sounds cliche. Sometimes I pray and I'm like, my prayers are very simple. Like, Lord, how are you doing today? I hope we haven't stressed you. I think we drive you crazy. I hope you're doing good. Thank you for it. So, that's how I am. And I think in relating to God that way, I've begun to see different expressions of Him. So, I mean, I have this thing that I do. I don't do it as much as I really should, but I have this series that I write from time to time. I call it Real Script, and I say, it's real people, real issues, real God, and for me, the perspective is, if we could go back in time and relive the experiences of some of these heroes of faith that we deify today, we would realize that they were really real people who had real struggles, but they were held by a real God. So I tend to write, sometimes from that perspective of a real God. So sometimes I go back in time and I'm Bartimaeus, and I become Bartimaeus, and I'm thinking about the fact that nobody notices me. I'm a beggar, and Jesus. I have a lot of stuff that I write about things like that. But lately, I started a series called Economic Bible Studies. And maybe it's because I'm 50% Igbo, right? So maybe I see money in the Bible, so whatever, so, but I started seeing, I think the Bible is it's a series of codes. And I think, unfortunately, many Christians tend to just read the Bible off the surface without digging deeper. So sometimes I see things, and it's not because I'm looking, to be honest. I'm not looking for something that will break the internet and cause me to have trouble with people. I just see something and I just can't shake it, give you an example, like the last post I put on Instagram, one of the last posts I put on Instagram, I talked about marketing secrets of Jesus. Some people would have been offended that Jesus is not a marketer. How can you say he's a marketer? I'm like, but dude, if he had 3 years to turn the world right side up, he couldn't afford to do it organically. He had to do it exponentially. He had to be controversial, certain things. So I just found those things and I started teaching them. Of course, I do get my share of flack from the overly religious zealots or pastors who don't agree with me. It's fine. I'm like, cool, you don't agree with me. I don't want you to. It just makes you to read the Bible deeper. You know what I mean? So if you need to have a philosophical argument about it, go read the Bible a little bit deeper. But I do find that there's I don't know, I guess preachers, we tend to, I'm not saying they tend to apply the Bible only to your faith. So it's almost like non-existent for the other parts of your life, just Sunday worship and Holy Spirit and faith and all that stuff. But sometimes, but I do believe that the Bible is a manual. It's applicable for everything. There's stuff there if you drill deeper. One day I was reading this Proverbs 7, I think it was, and it was I can't remember the scripture, chapter and verse, but it talks about a guy seeing going to see a prostitute, and she's in her home, and she says her husband is away, but I have Egyptian linen. And I came over the series and I started teaching business lessons from prostitutes, and I'm like, see, prostitutes have been in business from time immemorial, and they're not going out of business. They are recession proof, and it's in the Bible. You need to understand it. How can you recession proof business? Do you get what I'm saying? So but I guess it's for me, it's just fun stuff. I'm always excited to see what I will learn the next day I read something. So I'm not there to teach. I'm actually there to learn. And when I learn something that intrigues me, I feel like, oh, let me share it. And I do. Sometimes I get flack. Sometimes, I really don't care, to be honest.
That's cool. That's cool. So did you see yourself where you are now? Maybe, 20 years ago?
Yes.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about.
I'm actually disappointed I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I
did. Tell me about what it was like. Who are you as a child? Like, what was it like growing up?
Growing up, my parents are educators. My mom is an educator. My father's into real estate. And growing up, lower middle class Nigerian family. Education was very, very important to my parents. So my mom would buy me books, Chronicles of Narnia, and in Blyton, Fantastic, all the books that we could read, and it just inspired a love for reading and education in my heart. And somehow also I had a bit of a gift of the gab, even though I am pretty introverted or shy. Most people don't believe that because they feel like I'm
What?
being very,
What?
yes, even you don't, yes,
Please.
but I am. Truly, I am. I
Excuse you.
it's hard to believe, but I actually am. My idea of fun is just sitting at home and Netflixing, to be honest. I do have I do have a public persona, but I'm very private and, introspective. But in having the gift of the gab, I could try to talk my way out of situations and circumstances. My parents didn't find it funny when I dropped out of school, not once, but twice. So I'm in class all by myself. So they were quite disappointed, that the education route, seemingly after all they poured into me, didn't go very well. But that led me on a path of self-discovery. I'd always thought that I would speak, but I didn't want to speak like a pastor, you know what I mean, or a priest or whatever. I didn't want to be one of those guys, but I wanted to say something that people would listen to, but I didn't want to do it in what you might call conventional circles. So it wasn't until I got into uni, and I was gonna get kicked out the first time, that I saw Fela Durotoye for the first time. And I was like, to be honest, it was like, that was like Mary and Elizabeth, the baby I had just jumped, and I was like, this is what I should
whatever
do.
he's doing,
Whatever he's doing, I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm in, and that was it. So for me, that was just it. And I'm grateful for the privilege to just, do what I do. And I love it. I guess I love it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It'll be great to just kind of, piggyback on that a little bit and just talk about service, because we started it. We talked about it at the start about, it's part leadership, part service. What would you say is, the importance of, that moment of engaging with FD, Fela Durotoye, at the time, and, and what did it take to, to chart your own course, like, become your own person?
Service isn't sexy, which is why people don't do it no more. You know what I mean? Which is why everybody wants to be, CEO of me, myself, and I Incorporated, going nowhere fast. Service isn't sexy. Service requires sacrifice. I remember when I got the opportunity to work with Fela. Initially, it was a volunteer position. And I do remember that the first time I met him, I was totally enamored by him. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's so amazing. And I was because I was in a very bad place in my life when I first met him. I dropped out of school, had no hope, depressed, suicidal. I was just literally heading to the dark side. And then I met him, and I was like a junkie looking for a fix. Right. So every time I heard him speak, I felt like I got more shots. So I would always try to see how I could hear Fela Durotoye. So that led me to looking for his messages, his CDs, his books, and I'd go to bookstores and places, and people hadn't heard of him, And it dawned on me one day that, this great guy had a great message, but he didn't have any merchandise. And for some reason, it irked me. I felt it was wrong. Like, how can he not have merchandise? So I took it upon myself. They didn't send me a message. I was broke, busted, and absolutely disgusted. And I remember sitting at home, and I came up with, at that time, a 12-page document on how he could sell, $1 million Nairas, or either a million CDs or $1 million Naira worth of CDs. I can't remember. This is like 15 years ago, right? And I was like, if I ever meet him again, I'm going to give him this document. So printed it out. One day I bumped into him, and I quite arrogantly said to him, well, perceived as arrogant, I said to him, you have a problem, sir, and I'm your solution. It was like, what?
What?
You know what I mean? Because I needed to cut through it.
So even broke, busted, disgusted, you were still Steve.
I was. Because everybody around him there was a lot of groupie love, you know what I mean? And I didn't want him, because groupies don't get remembered. You know what I mean? I needed to be able to make an impression, because I knew I only had perhaps one shot. So I said, sir, you have a problem and I'm your solution. He was like, what's my problem? I said, your problem is you got a great message, but you have no merchandise. And, I probably said the way I just did, very succinctly and very straight to the point. I was like, that's interesting. So what are you going to do about it? I said, I have this 12-page document. I think you should read it. You know what I mean? And then he says, okay, he gives me his phone number, gives me his address, tells me to come over. And long story short, I did. And the day he read it, I'll never forget, FD literally, and I kid you not, literally stayed on the floor, knelt down, and he started praying. And he said, God, this is the answer to what I've been praying for. And I got the opportunity to volunteer with him. But now there's a challenge. I'm living with my parents. I've dropped out of school. I have no income whatsoever. In fact, at the time, my parents had finagled a job opportunity, really more of an internship with a company where I was being paid 10,000 naira. The office was in Maryland, and I was being paid 10,000 naira, but my transfer fare was like 12 grand, so I was already in debt. So it wasn't
like for the whole month.
For the whole month, yeah, for the whole month. I was my pay was 10K, but my transfer was 12K, and I left that job. My parents were like, why are you leaving a job that they're paying you? Where are you going to work? I was like, well, I've seen this guy and I want to follow him. Wow. I remember my dad distinctly saying, he said, now I know why you dropped out of school, because you are terrible at making decisions. Why would you leave a place where they're paying you 10,000 naira in Maryland and you're going to, I think this fella paying you? I said, no. I was like, see, where's his office, VGC? You see, this boy doesn't know. He doesn't have sense. But I was very determined that it was something I was going to do. And I remember that I would hustle my friends from time to time, those who already had jobs, and look down, not really look down on me, but looked out for me, because I wasn't, so to speak, doing anything. So I'll say, please give me 500 bucks, give me 1K, and I'll gather all the money and use it for transfer fare. And I did that for, I remember even Fela actually offered me pay as a volunteer. He was like, okay, you know what, where are you coming from? I said, I'm coming from Yanapaj. I was like, oh, that's quite a distance. Okay, let me pay for your transport fare. And I was like, no, I can't pay for my transport fare. It was like, you do have a car? I'm like, no, but I said, I should be paying you. I'm like, sir, you don't understand. This thing you're doing for me, it's a privilege.
Like, mind blown. What?
I'm telling you, I was like, I should be paying
that
you.
That level of awareness.
Well, you can call it awareness then, but I don't know. But
inside,
I was like, I should be paying you.
Prophetic inside gift, whatever. Like, what?
I was like, look, you picked me out of everybody, out of all the groupies. I should be paying you, and no, forget it. And I would come every day, I was always first to arrive, last to leave, because I always had to wait until the traffic had cleared, so that I'd get home, pretty much. And I get home very late, almost midnight. My parents would have locked up, then I'd leave, sleep for a couple of hours, hit the road by 4, get to Fela's office by 5:40 something, 6. So after about 4 or 5 months of doing this without pay, Fela was like, look, you have an ultimatum. You either collect a paycheck from me or I fire you today. Choose one. You know what I mean? And for him, he felt like boy sacrifices. He's gone way above and beyond, which is why I say service is sacrifice. Service is not sexy. And it's not just even in the beginning. It's even, easy for people to say, okay, well, Steve, that's easy for you because, well, you didn't have anything, so of course you could take that shot. But what about serving when you have something? So I'll give you an example. And this didn't happen to me 3, 4, or 5 times. Now, by virtue of working with Fela and he teaching me all the ropes and, pouring into me, I started to rise in the organization, from even not having a college degree, but I was rising, and I was a rainmaker. I was bringing in business, and I was pretty, hopefully good at what I did. And by virtue of that, he began to trust me a lot, and he would always pass briefs to me. So when people would say, oh, Fela, come and speak, you're like, just call Steve Harris. I have a guy go, and I'd go. And little things, and I'd do it. I don't think I wasn't thinking of self-awareness. I just thought it was the right thing to do. So maybe he would ask me to deputize for him, and he would tell the people, treat him the way you would treat me. And then I'd come back and they'll give me money. They'll maybe give me 50K. Now I don't know, to the listeners, who you think that money belongs to, but for me, that 50K is not my money. It's his money, because I didn't get the job. So I'd bring the money back and I'd give it to him, right? And I do that all the time. In sometimes he would take 1,000 naira and tell me to take 49. Let's say it was 50 grand. Or some cases he would take 49, he would give me 1,000. And I was like, look, dude, I don't care about the money. I'm just happy that I had the opportunity, and we kept doing that. Now, fast forward, I started being trusted enough to handle coaching, trainings, facilitations for corporations, and I guess I was pretty good at what I was doing. So I was always, he'd just say, just go and do it. I'm not interested, and I'd go do the work for the company. And clients started calling, and I remember one day a particular bank head of human resources called me, and she said to me, "You know what, Steve? We have this training on so days. We were thinking, rather than paying Fela and the company $5 million, because that's how much he would charge for it. It's about $5 million for 2 days. We're thinking that we should give it to you. So want to give you $2 million, do it for 2 days, right? So rather than us paying Fela, let's just pay you. Do it for 2 days.
Kind of undercutting, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm saying. I freaked out. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my God, I've made it.
I've made it.
I've made it, man. So I had that moment of, listen, I've made it. I'm good. But after thinking about it for a while, I remember calling the clients, and I said to them, I'm so sorry. Let's go with the initial plan. Let's let pay Fela, because Fela, they're like, yeah, Fela is going to send you now, so Fela will still send you. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Pay the $5 million to the company. I'll come and do it. Should be as me you want. Don't worry, I'll come. Pay Fela the $5 million. I'm still coming. They're like, Steve, you don't understand. But Steve, we'll pay you $2 million. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I'm going to lose $3 million because you are willing to pay my company $5 million, right? It's my business. It's my company. And I think at the time, maybe my salary was $200K, right? So here I am, just about to make 10 months my salary, and I'm ditching it, And I said to the clients, I'm like, look, don't worry about it. I said, Fela, the reason you want me is because Fela invested in me. If he hadn't invested in me, you wouldn't want me. So the least I could do, the right thing to do is I'll show up, pay the company the money, I'll show up, we'll have an amazing time, don't worry about it. And I do that. And I remember one day, that particular client called Fela and said to him, that's the Paris guy, you need to hold him up, because that guy is the epitome of, faithfulness. This is what we offered him, and he turned it down. And one part of me, human nature, you think that, oh, I've just saved the company some money.
Maybe they'll just chuck you a bit.
Maybe they'll just chuck me a bit, like that.
Just slide it. Just 500K, just hold that,
Just take that, hold that. And it didn't happen. But the thing about it is, one of the things that taught me is that it's never about the money. That it's about your heart. If you have the right heart, you will always attract money. You will always attract money. So somebody listening to this right now, like, come on, man, that ain't right. But I believe that if you have the right heart, you will always attract money. Abundance will come. So I didn't lose money. So it's, but you know what that taught me, Tombra? It taught me that my market value was 2 million naira. That even though my salary, my paycheck was 200K, what the market was willing to pay for me was 2 million naira. So that day I understood
that in
what
itself,
was.
that in itself was a gain. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What do you think shaped your paradigm? Because it's rare. You would hardly find anyone who would do that. What was that thing what do you think in your upbringing or your relationships that made you that way?
Well, I think it's a blend of different things. My parents, for sure. But beyond my parents, I dare say, and I say that unabashedly, that Fela Durotoye is perhaps the single strongest influence on me. I wasn't this guy before I met him, to some degree. But when I met him, his values rubbed off on me, like it or not. I just came over to his way of thinking, doing things right, being honorable, all those things. They became my values as well. So it's almost like, what would Fela do? Like, you know what I mean? And so, to be honest, that's exactly what it became. So yeah.
I love that.
So I had a good teacher. So shout out to him.
I love that. So what is it like for you? I know, being where you are now, what's that contribution or responsibility to others who are upcoming? Do you have anybody's baby leaping when they see you? Oh my gosh.
Well, I hope so. I've been very deliberate, I guess, with mentoring and coaching. I'm one of those people who doesn't believe in trade secrets. I believe that the only trade secrets is execution, right? So if anything works for me, I'm the first to tell you, do it like this. This is working. Do this, do that. I'm very privileged to be a small part of very many success stories. People who call me their father or father figure or mentor, Trisha Biz, Stephanie Yobi, John Obidi. The list is endless. Many, many people that I've been privileged to, light their candle in some way. And even for those who don't even consider me that father figure, it doesn't matter. I don't care. It's about lighting the
Your
light.
father, you just don't know it.
That's what it is. I'm your daddy. Who's your daddy? That's what it is. So, yeah, I'm like, come on, yeah, I know. I see you see me with me. I'm your father. Don't even front. Everybody knows I'm your daddy. So yeah. But I'm always very deliberate about that. I don't mind sharing information and helping people with a leg up. It's been done. Somebody did it for me. I wouldn't have been here if FD hadn't done that. So the least I could do is pay it forward. So yeah.
I love it. And I think we share that, obviously not to the degree that you do, but I feel very, very also very, very indebted to FD. I feel that every single thing I'm doing now was as a result of me just coming in contact with him and just learning from him. So yeah, he's such a great guy. Okay. I wanted to ask about Cupid. That's another thing that you do.
Femi, that's my love thing.
It's interesting. Business coach, life coach, also kind of relationship thing. Is it something that you've always had an interest in, or is it just by demand?
Is it by demand or? Well, I mean, first off, I wrote a book called From Friend to Fiance. Right? Mm-hmm. How to get him to want you without letting him know you want him to want you. That was pretty long-winded, but yeah. So I wrote that a couple of years ago, particularly for Christian single ladies, because I kind of figured that they were having a really hard time, getting married. Bad girls can get bad boys and good guys. Good girls have trouble getting any guy. So I kind of figured that, I knew something about relationships and it would be nice to just share and help them. I've sold about 5,000 copies of that book, physical copies. So I know that it was a hit, as they say. But then after a while, I just started talking about it on, Instagram. I had this thing once called Love University. And I started just talking to women and just simply saying, look, I'm not here to proselytize to you. I'm just here to show you that, this is the way a man thinks. And if you do these things, you're more likely to get him to want you without letting him know. So, for example, in the relationship space, a lot of coaches perhaps will talk about, 7 keys to having a great marriage or relationship, or, abstinence before marriage, no sex before marriage. Listen, I'm all for that. You know what I mean? I'm all for that. However, Jesus said that, when one sheep goes away, he goes away to bring that, sheep back. If he leaves the 99 and goes after the one. Now, in this case, I think the 99 have gone outside and there's only one that's remaining. So somebody has to bring the 99 back. You know what I mean? So I'm going after the 99, and then, so for me, my strategy was just keeping it real. So I was talking about real issues. So I was like, listen, so okay, you guys have shacked up and he didn't call you back. What do? You know what I mean? So just real life issues. This is how to flirt. This is how you need to learn how to flirt. Do this. It's not about letting it all hang out. It's about this. It's about this. It's about that. So I was keeping it real, just helping ladies and just
like insider secrets.
Pretty much, you know what I mean? Yeah. This is the bro code. This is the playbook. This is what you need to know, ladies. And then it's morphed into what we call Ifemi, which is Yoruba for my beloved. And for me, it's just me just sharing with the ladies practical things to position themselves. Because these boys, their heads are not correct. You know what I mean? They're not thinking straight. So, the guys are just thinking about making money. And when they make money, they'll just find some random girl who's 22 years old. Meanwhile, they've been with this girl who's been with them since she was 22, and now she's 35 and she's single. The guy isn't committing. He's made his money. She thinks that they're going to be together. He ditches her. I'm like, look, you don't deserve to be in that kind of place. This is what you need to do to get the guy to, make him pop the question. And, I believe all is fair in love and war. You know what I mean? Because if Naomi could tell Ruth, you got to do this, girl, to be able to get this guy, and it worked. Or Laban was able to tell Leah, do this, and, she was able to deceive Jacob and, marry Jacob. There's a little bit, all is fair in love and war. So I will do anything to help my ladies get hooked up. And thankfully they're getting hooked up and they're happy. So yeah. Service. Shady, I said servant leadership.
It's part of it now. It's part of it.
It's part of what I do.
I love it. I love it. I love the fact that, you've just got there's so many expressions, so many hats that you wear, that you own with your full chest, as they say, because some people will say, relationship, boy will, and actually maybe that's the question, from perspective of a personal brand, right? When you're branding yourself personally, is there a rule of thumb? Do you build one aspect of the brand first, become known as an authority in it before you start, and how many other things is permissible?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm a coach. That's what I am. I'm a life coach. That's what I am, right? And life coaching is business, relationships, finances, the whole 9 yards. However, I do agree that to be known, you need to build some level of expertise or reputation in one direction, because it's all about building trust. The brand is a storehouse of trust. And I believe that when the market trusts you and you've been able to deliver results in one area, then you can begin to diversify to other areas. So yes, I'm a life coach, even though I don't really focus on the life coaching part, but I focused mainly on business. I'm doing Ifemi, which is relationships. I have a book on finances called Honey, Why Are We Poor? It's still tied to that whole circle of being a life coach, but it's the areas that, I built trust in business. I built trust in relationship. I built trust in, in finances. So yeah, that's what I believe. I think, drill down to one and then diversify from there.
Okay. Build down to one and diversify. When someone is everyone caught out for business and entrepreneurship, would you say?
Yes.
I think so. Why?
I think so. I think everyone is a salesperson. They've just not, what people don't like are the consequences attached to sales, right? So let me explain. As a guy, maybe there's a single guy listening to this podcast right now. He sees a chick he likes, he wants to ask her out. So that's selling. He sold. You know what I mean? You're trying to convince your parents to increase your allowance or something or the other. You sold. That's entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship, primarily, if you can't sell, then you don't have a business. But I think what people struggle with, are the consequences attached to not being able to sell. So for example, you didn't meet your targets, we'll deduct your salary or this or that. So I think a lot of us have unconscious competence when it comes to entrepreneurship. We've just not been given a reason to own it. In an organization, if you're an employee, you're an entrepreneur. You're learning discipline, you're learning accountability, you're looking at the books, you're looking at the numbers. But the mistake that I tell people, especially those who are employees, is, if you have to go beyond your job scope. You got to learn the business. So I say your job has given you the opportunity to learn the business. You know what I mean? Any job you get is an opportunity to learn the business. Unfortunately, people build specialization around their job and they don't learn the business, right? So you go into an organization. Maybe, for example, you go into, let's say, a school. You're a teacher. You pride yourself on being the best science teacher out there, but you didn't learn the business. The fact that you're a great science teacher doesn't make you a great school proprietor, because you didn't learn the business. Because the business requires, how did we get students? How do we advertise? How did we hire? How did we fire? How do we pay bills? How do we pay insurance? That's the opportunity to
That's
learn the
it. It's
business.
the
You know what I
opportunity
mean?
to
It's a
learn
whole view.
everything. It's a
Yeah. But
holistic thing.
unfortunately, people just drill down and say, I'm the best at my job, and they forget about learning the business. You didn't learn the business, you learned the job. So being the fact that you can smile and say please and say thank you in customer service doesn't mean you'll understand the business, which is why when you now start the business and it doesn't make money and you screw up, you now come looking for guys like me who begin to teach you what you should have known in the first place. You know what I mean? And then we help you out from there. So I do believe that everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Life just hasn't hit you where it hurts yet for you to take that responsibility.
It just hasn't hit you yet.
I'm telling you.
But the thing, Steve, is that some people, feel like, I don't know if it's, and I suppose it's the whole it's the whole branding thing, being able to state their case that what I've got to offer is special enough, it's different enough, and will change your life in one way or the other. What advice would you give in terms of just that packaging of yourself or a service or a product, to stand out?
Well, when it comes to standing out, again, I do believe, business is emotional. You know what I mean? Buying is an emotional decision. Being able to state your case for your products or service or your brand is in answering two questions. Number one, what do people gain when they buy from me or hire me or whatever? But more importantly, what do people lose if they don't buy from you? And most people can't answer the question. What do you lose? You know what I mean? So something they need to be able to do is to be able to sell to your clients. I call it your deep, dark fantasy. Everybody has a deep, dark fantasy or deep, dark desire. You know what I mean? So I'll give you an example. I was coaching a fitness business, and they were talking about, they've been doing videos and stuff, and they're trying to get people healthy and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, look, I get it, but people don't work out because they want to be healthy. That's not really why we do it. I don't go to the gym because I really want to be healthy. Health is a secondary benefit. I want to be able to walk without panting or, climb a flight of stairs. But that's not really why I do it. I work out because I want to be able to take my shirt off and impress guys and impress girls. End of story. End of flipping story. That's it. End of story. I want my wife to look at me like, God damn.
I hit the jackpot.
This guy. You know what I'm saying? My wife has a nickname for me. She calls me Chesticles. She's like, Chesticles. I'm like, oh, that's what we're talking about. You see, all these guns that we're busy carrying up and down because I'm a loaded weapon. That's really why I work out. Health is a secondary benefit. So I said, if you speak to the customer's deep, dark fantasy, the one they're not willing to admit to anyone yet, you're able to get them. You're able to get the reason why they should do business with you. So for me, it's positioning yourself differently. You know what I mean? Like I said, with my other brother coaches or sister coaches, I'm like, look, everybody's great. Somebody has to be the bad boy in this business. It might as well be me. You know what? Let's own it. I taught an Instagram series, economic Bible study one day, and the title was PR Secrets from Branding and PR Secrets from the Devil that people need to be able to learn. I'm serious.
Oh my God! Like literally, your captions and titles are just out of this world. Your books and everything. It's just completely, definitely piques interest.
Yeah, because that's the whole idea. And I was like, branding and PR secrets from the devil. I'm like, listen, there's only one devil. Do you get what I'm saying? He's positioned differently. And I gave an example. I said, listen, at the end of the day, right, the devil is a bad angel with a good PR. That's all. Because you forget the devil is an angel. You're not afraid of Michael. You're not afraid of Gabriel. You're not afraid of any of the other angels. But you're afraid of the devil. Why are you afraid? He's just an angel, but he has good PR. He's branded himself differently. I said, there's God, there are angels, and then there's the devil. So now we've perceived that the devil is the opposite of God, which is not true, but it's positioning. People go for deliverance from the devil. It's positioning. I said it's branding, it's PR. If you don't understand it, I gave an example, and I use myself as an example. I said in an industry where there are many gods, Tombra is a god, FD is a god, Jimmy is a god. Somebody has to be a devil. Please be a devil. You get what I mean? Just position. You know, you're automatically the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you stand out automatically.
You stand out. So, and your messaging is different. So, for example, FD is love and hugs and rainbows and kisses.
And hugs.
Beautiful. You know what I'm saying? FD is great. You know, FD is loving. Me, I'm. You know, even he's like, this son of mine.
This one,
like, I don't understand where I got you from. Do you know what I mean? So
I remember.
It's, you know what I
mean? I'll say this. The very first time I encountered you actually was on FD's Speak for Gold. So this was after we're done. Maybe like 2 or 3 days. My very first Speak for Gold, 2 or 3 days, and FD was all like, oh, love. You know, give purpose to your life, you know, everything was just like, oh my God, I just love this guy, amazing, like everything he's saying is just so amazing. And next thing you came up. First thing you were like, forget all the things you had. Like you literally started contradicting some of the things that some other speakers had said with boldness as well. And I was like, what's this guy? Like, I went on your Instagram, I was like, the first coach you should have hired and the last coach you ever. I was like, oh, like, how can everybody call this guy's son? So that's my confession.
No, it's fine. I totally get it, and I appreciate you telling me because for me it's true. You know what I mean? And I promise you, I'm not trying to be mischievous. I'm not trying to be cantankerous or, you know, derogatory. It's just the way, you know, I see things a little bit different. You know, despite everything, I'm everybody's favorite son. He will tell you Steve Harris is my first son, my most favorite son. I'm like, see, all your other children line up at the back, right? Just line up at the back. You know what I mean? But I love it because I think, again, like I said, it's an emotional thing. A brand, a business is an emotional thing. I'm not trying to be everybody's flavor of the month. You know, I say to people, look, if you're thirsty, you want to drink water, right? But I'm not water. I'm tequila. You take a shot, it's going to burn you small. Like, he's doing me somehow. You say, give me another one. I'm like, Junior, that's me. I'm not trying to drag water with anybody. Drink water, drink Coke, be fine. I'm just here to give you one shot,
just
2 shots.
One little shot.
Just give me a little bit. Just give me a barman. Give me another one. That's who I'm supposed to be. And I'm not everybody. If you don't like tequila, you're not going to drink it. So yeah, it's fine. But for me, water leaves no emotion. Water leaves no emotion. It only slates your thirst, right? Tequila will do something to you. Champagne will do something to you. So you want to get a bit tipsy, get a bit high. I'm your guy.
That is a wicked quote. Like, water leaves no emotion. I love it. Please don't be water. Do not be water. I love it. I love it. Just as we close, I want you to talk about MBT.
Yes.
Because I know that is quite a movement. That's the way I see it. It's a movement. I mean, what was in your heart when you started it, you know, and where is it going?
Well, you know, again, I hate to sound preachy because I mean, I've used scriptures, I've used Bible, I've talked about Jesus. Anybody who's looking at it is like, this guy says he's not a child of God.
I know. It's like, that's what I was thinking. I was going to ask you, like, how many hours do you read the Bible a day? Because you're like quoting the scripture left, right, and center.
No, I do not. Trust me. But to be very honest, you know, I think I remember reading. I was having a really bad day. I think MBT started. I had a really bad time in business and some issues with my partner at the time, and my clients had, you know, chosen my partner. And I was in a place where I was like, you know, Lord, I don't ever want to be in this place ever again. I don't ever want to be in a place where I have to prove myself to a company, you know, where the company will choose somebody else instead of me. You know, I never want to feel that way again. I need to take the power away from the middleman. somebody who just doesn't like me because I'm too good looking or whatever, doesn't have the right to take food from my table. So I don't ever want to be in this position. So I was like, you know what, Lord, you got to give me something. And I know one day, I flipped and I stumbled on Matthew 25, the parable of the talents. And for some weird reason, I got the phrase mastering the business of your talents. Now, when I got that phrase, I didn't know what to do with it. But I figured, okay, let me just start my normal way. Let me just see how I can help people with their businesses, because that's what I do. I'm a management consultant. That's all I've done for the last almost 2 decades, right? Let me just help people with their businesses. And I started by, understanding. Initially, it just started by, you have a gifting, you have a talent, you have something, purpose that God has put inside of you. Let's monetize it. I did a lot of research and there's giftings inside. Bring out the money inside of you. So that's how it started. It's gained a lot of traction over the years. Now it's more of a business strategy program. So beyond your giftings and ability, I'm like, look, I don't care if you don't even have it's not even about your talents, it's about your business. You know what I mean? So whatever you're passionate about, whether it's a business or concern, my proposition now is, look, I don't care what you do. We're going to do at least 5 times what you did in the previous month. So now it's about giving them strategy for their business, techniques for them to sell better, to manage their businesses better, become more profitable, and then of course it's with a lot of threats and sanctions and coming after your soul, So it's not rainbows and unicorns. There's no Hakuna Matata. There is we are coming after you. Don't make money. I'm finding you, and I do that. And I find my participants. I think MBT is the only program that you join that you're going to get fined if you don't deliver. You pay me to sanction, you pay me to threaten. I'm like, come, are you joking? Look at where you're sitting. You're leaving money on the table. Get your act together, get your ish together, or else you're going to pay me this amount of money. And people pay. And when they pay attention. You know what I mean? But they always leave. They always leave better. By the grace of God, their businesses have always experienced the turnaround. They come around. They come out bodacious. They come out semi-arrogant, as the case may be. They're like, look, I'm not here to trade thingamajiggy with you. This is what it is. This is what it is. If you don't want, go to the guy next door. I'm not trying to chase you. And people love that. Weirdly enough, I've probably coached over 1,500 people over the last maybe 4 years online. But I'm grateful. It's a beautiful gift, I guess.
I love it. Is there a threshold for entry? Is this already businesses that have been going on for a while? I would imagine it's new businesses.
So what I actually tell people, it's actually both demographics. If you don't have a business or an idea, we will give you an idea. You know what I mean? We'll say, look, okay, we'll do an inventory of who you are, what you do, what you love. And they'll say, okay, there's money in this direction, begin to pursue it, to help you just turn the light bulbs on and then show you how to sell it, right? So we have people who come in like that who don't have a business, and at the end of the day, they leave with a business, they make profits or whatever the case may be. Because I say to them that, those who haven't started are perhaps better suited sometimes because they haven't made the mistakes that these other guys have made. Through experience. So it's a bit of both. You don't have a business idea, you jump in. You have a business that's already working but has plateaued. You're coming in. We'll still put some fire to kickstart you, and anybody can participate.
Fantastic.
But it's a dictatorship. It's not a democracy.
It's a dictatorship. It's not democratized in any way. I love it. 2 questions for you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Daily habits. Because I believe the sum total of everything that we are is our daily habits. What if you had to name, top 3 or top 4, you would say, are probably the biggest contributors to your success. What would they be?
Daily habits. I work out or walk. Every day or every other day, at least 5 days a week. Conservative. I listen to a podcast every day. And I try to do one thing that gets me closer to my goals every day. Just one thing. I don't try to do too much, just one thing. And for me, it'll be the 20% thing that will give me 80% of my results. So I just pick one thing. I'm like, okay, if I accomplish this today, then I'm closer. You know what I mean? So, like for today, I worked on a funnel, a sales funnel that I want to launch here in the US. That's all I worked on. It was just one thing. Tomorrow, I haven't finished it. Tomorrow, I'll finish it. And then once that's done, I will begin to promote it. Just one thing. That's all. So those are, to be honest, my daily habits. I don't read. I mean, I read, of course I read, but I listen to podcasts. I'm reading a book right now. I've read this book like maybe 9 times.
Me
I'm reading it again.
too.
Oh,
I read it today.
You did?
I read it today and yesterday, and I've
There
listened
we
to the
go.
audiobook, and I'm
There we go.
back front. Oh my God.
Did you watch the 2 comma Claude thingamajiggy that he did?
No.
Russell. Oh, you must have missed that. No, okay. Shucks. I was on he had a not a webinar, like a 3-day event a few days ago. So I watched that, So I mean, I've read this book like 9 times. Again, I'm reading it.
It's such a great book, isn't it?
It is a great book.
Such a great book. Oh my God. Look, we're talking about this, and people on the podcast who are not listening, watching it. So this is Expert Secrets by Russell
Brunson. Yeah, go get the
and
book.
it's an incredible book. It's for thought leaders and knowledge entrepreneurs, I would say. And just business owners, really. And what's the other thing? You are having a bad day or downtime, and you're not feeling yourself. What's the one thing you'll do first?
Pizza and ice cream.
Nothing serious.
Nothing serious. Pizza and ice cream. No.
Speaking in tongues and Bible.
Meditate. Pizza and ice cream. Just give me pizza, give me ice cream, and I'll be okay. Once my wife sees me with pizza and ice cream, she's like, "What's the problem? What's the problem? Are you okay? What's going on? What are you thinking about this month?" That's the answer. Pizza and ice cream. That's what I do. And then, maybe later I mutter under my breath and complain to God about something or the other. And I'm like, "Look, you got to sort this out, man, because I can't deal anymore." I think it was yesterday I was walking and I was like, okay, cast your burdens, because he said, "Look, Lord, I am dropping all these things out of my head. I'm tired of carrying these things because it's not helping. So I'm giving them to you." I think my biggest frustration is feeling that I have so much distance to cover, and I feel like I have so little time. So I'm in a place of frustration, like how I've been circling this mountain for too long, and other people will be like, "Look, dude, you're on top of the freaking mountain." I'm like, "No, but that's not what I see." So that frustrates me quite a bit. But there's process to the promise, and I just don't like process, man. It's just taking too goddamn long. But I'm grateful. So when I have those moments, pizza and ice cream first. And I tell God about it. But try not to worry about it too much.
And what is that big frustration for you? Is it just, and you've talked about the fact that obviously little time, lots to do. Is it more, the people that need it and the fact that they're going without, or is there something else within that?
That is there, to be honest. But forgive me, I do have a much more selfish reason. I'm serious, for real. I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm 100% altruistic. There is a reason. I do want to be numbered among the greats. I am offended that there are no significant Black thought leaders on the scale of Russell Brunson, Tony Robbins. It's bad enough that there are very few Blacks. It's worse that there are very few Africans, and it's even worse that there's no Nigerian. I want to be that guy. You know what I mean? I want to be that guy. Again, to whoever's listening or watching, it may sound, "Oh my God, Steve is selfish." That's your problem. I want to be that guy. You know what I mean? I want to be, for the lack of a better term, like the Black Tony Robbins, to be able to impact people. I want to lift my race. You know what I mean? I want to lift my race. I want to be able to show people that, look, you know what? Black isn't whack. You know what I mean? I want, and no disrespect, I tell God, I'm like, "See, look, God, I'm grateful, but I'm not trying to attract Black people with Jesus. I'm not, see. I want white people, Asians, Hispanic. I want all of them I want them all to be there shouting, and me, I'll teach them economic Bible study. They're heading. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like I need the biggest audience in the world. I want to be able to influence influencers. You know what I mean? I want to be the guy that influencers, even here in the States or globally, are trying to cozy up to because they've heard something about you. I want to be like Solomon. You know what I mean? I want people to come far and wide, you know, to hear of the wisdom, and you say something that just, they're like, you know, I heard about you, but, you know, just like the Queen of Sheba, I heard about you, but what I've seen is so much more. You know what I mean? I want to be that guy. You know, I want to be that guy. And if I have to, I'm sorry to anyone who feels like, oh, you know, that's why I started at the beginning and I told you, servant, leader, leader, servant. I wasn't fronting. It sounded cool, but, you know, but that's really what it is. I want to be, yes, I am a servant leader, but I want to lead so that I can serve. You know what I mean? And I don't believe that if you want to get to the top, you have to start from the bottom. You know what I mean? So we don't all have to start from the bottom. So that's why I feel frustrated when I see, I mean, I was watching Russell Brunson and all the things he was doing. I was like, oh,
and he's so young as well.
Yeah, you know, like, Lord, please now give me. I swear, give me, God. I swear, I will use it well, Lord Jesus.
God, when?
Like, when? Like, why not me? Like, are you looking for a black guy who can do this? I will do it for you, and I'll do it well. Do you get what I'm saying? You know, so for me, I mean, it may sound selfish, but, you know, or not all altruistic, but yes, I want to be that guy.
Love it, love it, love it. On that note, let's just close the curtains on what has been an absolutely phenomenal podcast interview. Thank you so much, Mr. Steve, for coming and bringing all of yourself. I'm going to let you have the closing words. So just say anything that is on your heart to our listeners.
If you're listening to this or watching this and you have not yet subscribed for the Created for More podcasts, I don't know what the heck is wrong with you. If you're not following Tom, bruh, I don't know what the heck is going on. So if you've not signed up for her coaching, I don't know what the heck you're doing. I mean, it took her a while to get me, and I made her work for it. So we're here. You better make sure you follow, you subscribe, you share her content, because I think she's phenomenal, absolutely amazing. And Steve Harris said so. So
I love it. I love that Steve Harris said so. We're going to quote that. We're going to bottle it up. We're going to get it out there. Amazing. Thank you so much. Phenomenal interview. Thank you.